Ring muscle up tutorial. Here we go. All about the ring muscle up today. First things first, there are a few strength baselines that we need to have. So we're gonna start on the low rings. If you've already got a strict ring muscle up, then you can skip ahead and go straight to the kipping work. Okay, so part one is all about developing positions and strength, and we need to do that on the low rings, gradually start being able to do it on the high rings. Once we've got really strong foundations of position and strength, we can then start adding some kipping if it is the CrossFit style ring muscle up that you're looking for. Otherwise, you can continue to develop yourself using just the strict strength with these strategies I'm about to go through. So we're going to start off with the grip. You've probably seen this one before. It is the false grip. Now the false grip means that our knuckles are not pointing up towards the sky, they're going to be pointing forward. So rather than setting up with a regular grip like this, false grip is going to see us point those knuckles forward in this position. Okay, while we're holding the false grip, there's a couple of things we need to know. Number one is we want that hand positioned right underneath the middle of the strap. It's a mistake to continue to slide it up higher up the strap. Now slightly more can be beneficial, but too high and it's going to be too difficult to transition in that position. You try and perform a ring dip whilst your hand's this high up, it's not going to happen. So the further towards the center it is, the better it's going to be. The second thing, you need to flex really hard in our forearm muscle, which does this motion. That, and then clasp the hand on, that's how you maintain the false grip. A lot of people lose the false grip as soon as they start the movement by doing this, because they're just pulling their arm instead of using their forearm muscle to push the hand down towards the ground. So we need those two things. We know the knuckles are facing forward, we're in the middle of the rings, and I'm going to tense those forearm muscles, which is going to get my false grip locked in all the way through. False grip's established, we're going to go into the false grip ring row. I've got those points, I'm ready. I'm going to get my feet directly underneath the rings. The rings are set just about shoulder height to start with. From here, I'm going to keep my body straight and then maintain the false grip. I want you to watch my hand and wrist position all the way through these 3 reps. Notice how I didn't lose the false grip, because if I did, my knuckles wouldn't still be facing forward, they'd be facing up towards the sky. Okay, the false grip and the false grip ring row have begun, so the next step is the transition. This is the big one. We have to get this strict, and we have to hit the points that we're looking at to make it as easy as possible. So once I get to the top of my ring row, I like to think about my thumbs are pointing towards me, and I'm going to make a big C under my armpits like this. That's going to get us into the bottom of the dip, which is the transition through the rings. Now the rings are set up at shoulder height, but just low enough so that I can get my shoulders on top of the rings here with my feet still on top of the ground. So now I'm going to show you 3 transitions. I'm going to remove the ring row part while I do this. So once you've got that low ring transition nailed down, you're getting the arc of the C with the thumbs. It's time to put those 2 movements together. False grip ring row and transition. I'm going to show you 3 reps. Again, I want you to watch closely at my false grip and my thumbs going under my armpits as I transition. Now we've mastered the ring row and the low ring transition, we're going to make those rings lower, which is going to make it even harder. Now I'm going to show you essentially exactly the same movement again, but where the rings are lower, I'm going to have to fight to keep my hips back the entire time. So I'm going to perform another 3 reps. This time I want you to watch closely at how my hips stay behind me throughout the entire rep. Now, it's really important those hips stay behind me. The second you start moving those hips forward, you're no longer using the right muscles to pull yourself through. So watch it again if you didn't see it, and keep those hips behind you when you're practicing. Okay, so now we're going on to the ring dip part. The ring dip is a movement in its own, and it needs quite a bit of dedicated time. So if this is your first time on the rings, I recommend making sure that you got at least 5 strong push-ups before you can have expectations of doing it on the rings. Otherwise, you can still practice and there's still lots of benefit to it. What I'm going to start with is a jumping ring dip. So with the hands in the same position, I'm going to jump and pull the rings as tightly as possible. I want you to watch closely how I keep my arms straight and pull the rings close to my body for these 3 reps. Once we start to become more proficient with that and confident that we can hold ourselves up for a few seconds, we're going to add in some more layers. Now, we're going to see if we can hold the bottom of the ring dip. We're jumping to support to hold the top. That's good. Now we're going to lean our shoulders on the top of the rings and see if we can take our feet off the floor. This is a huge strength building block, so don't try and miss this part. I'm going to lean my shoulders on the rings. Notice how I'm not going to lift them. I'm going to push down really hard and then take my feet off the ground. Watch me do it for 3 reps. All right, we're adding in more layers now. We're going to put these 2 movements together and another one, which is going to be the negative ring dip. So on this one, I'm going to jump up, I'm going to hold a support, I'm then going to lower myself down, and I'm going to hold the bottom of the dip. This is for those of you who aren't quite ready to push up all the way on their own. So you're going to use your legs to assist it, or you're going to use all of your strength on the way down and at the top and bottom to continue to develop the movement. I'm going to show you what 3 reps look like. Okay, we've seen the full script ring row, the transition, and the ring dip. It's time to start putting it all together. And now I left a tiny bit out on that ring dip all the way up, but this is part of building the base so that you can make these reps all come together. We don't just want one of each of those. Now I'm going to show you some full reps of the low ring muscle up, which you should definitely start working. Okay, once we start stringing those low ring muscle ups together, the next step is seeing if we can string together the transition negative. So that means I'm going to go from the bottom of the dip to underneath the rings, and I'm going to try and do this without putting my feet on the floor. This is going to be hard initially, so if you find yourself dropping, it means you're not quite ready for it. Keep working the low transitions. If you can start to go under it and it doesn't look like too much of a drop, it's time to start working the zen. So watch closely how I keep the full script and move slowly. This is the full strict ring muscle up negative. Okay, so after probably weeks to months of working on the low ring muscle ups, it's time to get up on the high rings. If you find that you can do the negative reps 2 or 3 times with good control, you're very, very close to a strict ring muscle up. I reckon you should start trying it out. Here's what the finished, or close to finished product should look like. Ready? Me on part 1 of ring muscle ups. Join me in part 2 where we go through the CrossFit style kipping ring muscle up.